Well, today we find ourselves in the Barnstable High School Performing Arts Center, surrounded by an appropriately epic set for an epic production, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And I feel like this is an appropriate show for the man sitting right next to me to go out on here at Barnstable High School. And of course, if you don't know him, he's John Sullivan, the drama director here at the high school. John, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Now, let's talk first about this performance, the cast, the set that's around us here, and what people can expect as you head into the final weekend.
Well, I think I told my cast when we opened last weekend that we had the best, smoothest, most enthusiastic opening we've ever had in my 32 years of doing this. So the kids were really ready to do this show when it opened, and their voices nice and strong. It's a show about Joseph and his 11 brothers, and his 11 brothers turn on him, and they sell him into slavery, and because he has a knack for interpreting dreams, which is what got his brothers mad, because he said, yeah, I'm gonna be better than you. The brothers can only take that for so long, especially when there's 11 of them.
Right, exactly.
And so they sell him into slavery. He's in jail. He interprets some dreams from some prisoners, and then Pharaoh has a dream, and someone says, hey, I know a guy in jail who can interpret dreams. So they bring him out of jail. He says a famine is coming. Pharaoh says, okay, well, won't you be in charge of it, because you're a clever guy. Puts him in charge of it. He becomes Pharaoh's number 2. And then while back in Canaan, his brothers are starving to death, they come to Egypt and beg for food, and they don't realize that they're all kneeling in front of their brother because it's been about 15 years since they've seen him last, and they thought he was dead.
So for folks who haven't seen this story, this is the biblical story of Joseph. Yes. And it's a huge, fun, choral-driven performance with, of course, some great leads as well. Talk to us about the ensemble cast, because I know that any version of this production requires a big cast.
Well, it does, because what happens, too, is it's an opera. There are no spoken words in this. So we have a chorus that sits right here on both sides of the stage, and they sing the entire show. So they're all doing like la 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 la. They're constantly singing through the show. And the same thing with the cast is when they're out on stage, they have to be out there and they have to be singing all the time. Joseph, who's played by Dylan and Jeremy, they're on stage an awful lot of the time, and they have an awful lot of songs to sing. So we're always making sure their voices are okay. And there's 6 narrators we have who come out, and they're a Greek chorus. They explain exactly what's happening while they're pantomiming in the back exactly what's going on.
Sure.
So everybody is singing. It's all singing all the time.
This is one of my favorite musical productions to see. I've seen it several different times in several different venues, and I would say, for my money, the set design here is as epic as anywhere that I've seen. But then again, we've kind of come to expect that from your kids and your productions. Well,
the thing is that the scenery, you know, first of all, Egypt, it's a perfect, setting for anything, and everything is big. Well, everything is big in Egypt.
Right, that's true.
And so that's what we like to do. We like to do big things, and I've got a great group of kids this year. I've got some great painters. I've got some great artists, and so I set the sets out of how I'd like to see them, and we work towards those goals. But everything you see is painted by a kid.
Yep.
It hasn't been painted by me.
And when I first saw one of your productions, I thought to myself, gosh, how many professional artists does he have working on these? And the answer really is none. It's everybody that goes to Barnstable High School.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, building is a different story, because building gets a little more tricky.
Sure.
So a lot of this stuff, like these benches and stuff, they're all built by kids, but sometimes the trickier things, like these big columns, we'll bring a dad who's a carpenter in to work with the kids.
Sure.
But they don't work alone, they work with the kids.
Now, John, of course we have to talk about the fact that, sadly, this is your last directorial role with Barnstable High School, at least during the school year. I know that you're going to do some community theater in the summertime, but why did you choose Joseph for your last one?
Well, what happens is that I never pick a musical because I want to do it. I pick it because we have the kids to do it.
Sure.
And so I had 3 or 4 different shows that I would have liked to have used for my last show. And so Joseph was one of them. And then when I went through who we have, you know, in the drama club this year, Joseph was the one that it just so happened that Joseph was the one in which I could go down to all the people and say, okay, he could play this part, she could play that part, he could do this. So that's really how it wound up being the last show.
Sounds like, based on what you said earlier, though, that it's a special show to you, though.
It is a special show. It's followed me since 1968. You know, since it was a record album, and I do like it very much. It has a soft spot in my heart.
Sure. Now, I don't know how we begin to sum up all the work that you've done here at Barnstable High School, but let's try. Talk to me about your time here and the experiences that you've had. I don't know if there's a few things that stick out in your mind above all the rest, or if it's the whole journey that's been the best part for you. What would you say?
It's always the kids. So if you ask me, if you say, what did, you know, name some shows, I'll immediately say, okay, Jim Hill, 1981, The Hobbit. I'll say Kathy O'Neill, 82, Hooch. I'll say 86, Andy Rappo, The Hobbit. You know, Eden White, 87, Oliver. You know, I can name you the kids going with the days, because the kids are more important to me than the actual shows. Because when I sit at the back, I'm watching the growth of those kids. And to me, that's what this is about. This isn't really about putting on a show. It's actually about watching the growth of these kids from year to year. And that's really the kick I get out of it.
Well, it seems like you still have all the youthful exuberance that anybody could ask for. I mean, really.
Yeah.
So why
the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm getting old. Well, it's I am getting a lot tired than I used to. You know, it's hard to keep up with a bunch of 14-year-olds. You know, it is. I said to myself one day, this was a lot easier when I was 26. You know. They're long days. They're really long days. When the productions are on, I get here at about 5 minutes to 7 in the morning, and I leave here at 10:30 at night. And that's five nights a week for like 2 months. And so after walking the dog and everything, I'm probably getting about 4 hours or 5 hours of sleep a night. And then I'm collapsing whenever I can, you know, outside of work meetings and things like that.
Sure.
So I grab a cat nap. I'm a master of the cat nap. I could go to a deep sleep and nothing flat. And but it's just it just seems it's getting a little harder for me to do the kind of quality that I want to do. And so, not that you could tell, but I mean the thing is that I think a younger person, or just, you know, I think it's time for somebody else.
How do you want folks to remember your time here, your contributions? I know you've sort of been deflecting a lot of the praise from yourself to the kids, but I mean, you deserve a little credit, John.
Well, I do a lot of yelling. You know, I think I want to be remembered as a guy who helped somebody. You know, I want to be remembered as somebody who taught somebody something, because that's what I'm here for. I mean, that's what the paycheck says.
Sure.
So. You know, I think that helping people is what we're supposed to do. No matter what job you're in, no matter where you are, no matter what occupation you're in, you're supposed to help people. And I think that I'd like to be known as a guy who helps some people get something done that they wanted to. You know, if they wanted a job or they wanted to be a certain profession or something like that, whether or not it's behind the scenes or in front of the camera. You know, that I at least help them try to fulfill their dreams.